Minnesota in probably 20 years.
Bring gas. Welcome to Flagrant Howls, a Minnesota Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.
Okay, let's carry this conversation over from our Mackey and Judd. Write that down. Somehow, so I made a prediction on Write That Down that when the Wolves play the Celtics here in a few days at Boston, that they're going to combine for it'll be 90-plus three-point attempts in the same game, which would be around, like, if you added up their averages, it's not like a super outlandish prediction. I think 79 is the most in a Wolves game so far this year. But Declan was looking up. Declan went back like 20 years to find Game 7 against the Kings. And throw that out again. You found the box score for this.
Yeah, so Game 7 against the Kings, probably like the greatest Timberwolves game, maybe win of all time. 83-80 was the final score. The Kings shot 39% from the floor. The Wolves shot 42%. And I've rewatched this game even a couple times in the last few years because it is on YouTube. I remember so many long twos, minimal three-point attempts. And thankfully, ESPN even still has the shot chart up on their box score. So I'm going to flash on the YouTube screen the box score. And I want everyone to look at the long twos and the minimal paint attempts, at least by the Kings, actually. So here's the shot chart. The Wolves are on the right in blue. The Kings are on the left in black.
Wow.
Also, was there a half-court shot that was made? What is that blue one that's like all the way from back there?
Yeah,
Let me
looks
see
like
here.
No,
Gary?
which one are you looking at?
That's weird. This one, right in the middle
Yeah, I
here,
see
which
it.
is like
But is that a make or a miss?
it's a miss. It's a miss.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting. Anyway,
someone-
someone
It was
tell me.
probably just like a
Buzzer.
heave. But this is, so the Kings especially are the antithesis of what you would be doing strategically today. And it worked, like back then it worked really well. And the Wolves, by the way, were like, these two teams kind of mirrored each other in strategy, and that it was long twos, 15, 18-foot jumpers, Chris Webber, Kevin Garnett. But if the Celtics or today's Timberwolves or any of the top teams looked at this shot chart and said, wait, you're taking almost exclusively long twos? You're all fired.
But that's what Flip, when Flip came back here, Phil, we talked about this on the old show a bunch, is that, Flip loved that shot.
Well, that was the league. Yeah, that was the league.
And then Flip claimed that he was going more towards threes, but then you would see a post-game shot chart, and it'd be like there still would be long twos, and Flip got very defensive about the fact that he was being called out for his team still shooting long twos in his second go-around here.
And I just pulled up from 20 years ago versus, so there was the 03-04 season. Basketball Reference, percentage of shot attempts by each distance. And this year's Timberwolves team is, so 38% of their shot attempts, or wait a second, no. 48% of their shot attempts are from three this year. It was 13% in 2003, 2004.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I bet you too. So
Crazy.
If you look at the Wolves side of this shot chart and see to the left there, I think there's 6 attempts and 4 makes. That was prime Garnett territory.
Well, on the left is the Kings.
No, on the Wolves side.
Oh, gotcha.
On the Wolves side, on the left, you can see there's 6 attempts right there.
Oh,
that was like prime KG territory.
Oh yeah, little like baseline kind of thing.
Irvin Johnson played 29 minutes in this game, started for the Wolves, and had 0 points.
That was kind of him, man. The Wolves had some random big guys. Mark Madsen was one of them, where their job was to go out there and just kind of be like a sidekick for KG on defense, and so that he doesn't have to guard the opposing team's Shaq every single game or whatever. But you're out there for like 20 or 30 minutes to set screens and to grab some rebounds and block some shots. On the long twos, just to show the evolution here of the league and the Wolves, for the regular season, 2003-2004, the Wolves took 30% of their shot attempts from 16 feet to the three-point line. So long twos made up essentially 1/3 of their offense. And fast forward to this year, it's only 3% of their shot attempts are long twos. And I believe, scratching even further, only 5 players on the team have attempted a shot from long two. Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, Jaden McDaniels has attempted 1, Nikhil and Mike Conley. So it's like we're 14 games in, and most of the team has not even, not most, but like half the players who played have not even attempted a shot from between the flip range, 16 feet to the 3-point line.
That's awesome.
Anyways, they got the Raptors tomorrow, and then the reason why we brought this up originally on Mackey and Judd because they're playing the Celtics this weekend, tucked away during the middle of an NFL afternoon on Sunday, and the Celtics are averaging 50 attempts per game. The Wolves are averaging like 40 attempts per game. So if they hit their average, they're going to hit 93-point attempts in that game, which is crazy. So we'll get to our hottest Wolves takes here in just a moment, but the big news in the league yesterday. There's been all this uncertainty. There's a lawsuit between TNT or Warner Brothers and the NBA for the NBA choosing to go with different partnerships. And TNT said, wait a second, we have a clause to match any of these offers. We choose to match this Amazon offer. But the biggest question was what happens to inside the NBA if Warner Brothers loses the rights? And ESPN struck a licensing deal to carry forward inside the NBA beyond the last year of the contract. Now Shaq's not under contract. I'm sure they'll figure that out, but Shaq's like kind of pouting. But what do you guys think of that show now that it felt like we were getting to the end of it and it was kind of a celebration of like, oh, this is be the end of the show. Do you like the move to take what's largely regarded as the best pre-post game show in all of sports to ESPN? Or do you think it should have, is this like the Judd theory of players should retire and think we don't want to see like Peyton Manning fluttering passes, past his prime.
Not yet. Because the thing about the show is they are still all really good. Like if and when Charles ages and his fastball starts to go, then yeah. But I love this. And look, this is an acknowledgement and accurate that ESPN, which has had the NBA now for a long time, has never come close to this show. So to license this show and carry it on. And it's going to, it sounds like from all the things I read, it's going to carry on in its form. Atlanta-based, going to look the same. I'm sure the signage will change, but the point is they're not going to make him go to Bristol. They're not going to try to change the
Can you imagine?
Makeup. Oh, no, because I don't think Charles would go to Bristol. I think he'd be
Ernie wouldn't either.
Hell no. Yeah, exactly. No, I love this. I think it's great. As we continue down the path of how much things are changing and the landscape is changing as well in that business, we're getting more like crossover possibilities, right? Like the proprietary stuff, it's still proprietary, but it feels like the fact that Warner Brothers can license this, and I guess they're also going to keep some of their foreign rights to NBA games as well. Now TNT won't have games, but so they're still going to be involved in the business of basketball. But I love this. I think it's great, and quite frankly, ESPN has never come close to this. Like, it's not like, oh man, that show's really good. And inside the NBA still a little better. It has always been this mammoth gap. ESPN does a lot of things, I think, pretty well, but that's one they've never solved. So I love it.
I have a theory on, ESPN has gotten a lot of things wrong and right on like wildly wrong and very much right over the last 10 years. Like they've taken some big swings on things. I think Get Up has been a huge success as a daily fun.
Yes.
Doesn't take itself too seriously. Yeah.
Right.
Whether you love him or not, McAfee it was a big swing and has brought a bunch of new, maybe younger fans or fans that thought ESPN was like too woke previously and now you're tapping into a different audience. This is one of the best moves I think ESPN has ever made. And it's also on the tail of the failure of them to put together a recognizable, repeatable, great chemistry NBA studio show. They've just always been way too buttoned up and formulaic. And here we come. Let's have a traditional host that sets up. Like the best thing about the TNT format is, and maybe it is more structured, and those guys led by Ernie make it seem it's controlled chaos, and they do a great job of making it seem like there's no format. But it's so laid back. It's the difference between the hosts being on the edge of their seat and we must keep a pace and go and this and highlights and this versus them being sort of lean back, clowning each other, following a thread.
Right.
I would just like I guess my unsolicited advice to ESPN would be just let people be personalities and
Right.
stop trying to fit everything into a box with these people were putting a timer on during the NBA finals on ABC and ESPN. They'd have this panel of like 4 or 5 people, Bob Myers and whoever else was on, and they'd come back for like 60 seconds or 90 seconds, and they'd all like jam a 20-second take in about the first half, and then a bajillion commercials. It's like you need to give these people time to breathe and joke around and clown and have personalities.
The incredible thing too, though, is like I think the not so secret sauce is Ernie Johnson's phenomenal. Like he is one of the greatest traffic cops of all time, and Barkley is unrepeatable. So like you can get your guys on who are boisterous and outspoken, but nobody's Barkley. And like Shaq and Kenny are good, but they very much like fall into Barkley makes them great because he allows them to Barkley he's a bully at times, but also a great foil. And so I think that's the difference. But the only show, so to your point, ESPN has done a pretty good job. I do think that Get Up is about as close of a ESPN produced show as being like that because it's loose, it's funny. Greeny's perfected that. The Greeny we see now, I think has come a long way from the old show with Golick when it was much more, that was Frank Caliendo with those impersonations. That was not so-and-so. And it's like, Greeny, we know. Like I think he's become way more fun. But yeah, this is a great move. If you can't beat him, join him. It's a perfect synergy thing. And quite frankly, I don't think anyone cares. It's not like the old days where, oh my God, this guy's on ABC. He used to be on CBS. How did this happen, right? I don't think young sports fans care. Give them what they want. ESPN is doing that.
Yeah, I think it's a good move. I mean, 20 years ago, Baseball Tonight was can't miss programming, man. And I loved Baseball Tonight when it was in its prime. And, that show has changed. MLB Network launched. It's ESPN still has Baseball Tonight, but it's not the same show that it used to be, which stinks. So I think that's good to just kind of keep the core of NBA fans familiar with the guys that are really good at that, and that show's good at adapting. I mean, how many times have I complained about the Fox pregame show with you guys the last 3 years on NFL because it's just the same horrible show and we haven't even figured out how to update it. We have now a hologram of Tom Brady. That's how we've updated it. It's like, oh, this is not good at all. Inside the NBA is a cornerstone for NBA fans, and I think keeping it together for ESPN, it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, man. It's timeless. And sometimes those guys can come off a little cranky and they can get on some of the newer players, but they do it in this fun way. It's not like mean and bitter and old. And the self-deprecation.
Exactly. Who he play for is one of my favorite segments of all time in sports pre or post game shows.
There was a player that they've now used like 6 years in a row with different teams. The Chuck he's like 0 for 6.
And the guy has moved around teams, so he really has no idea.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get to our hottest Timberwolves takes here on Flagrant Howls, presented in part by Element Hotel, just steps away from Target Center and Target Field, a Marriott Bonvoy hotel for points purposes. It's right on the light rail, super walkable to some of downtown Minneapolis's finest, most popular bars and restaurants. You're right in the center of things. So maybe you're looking to make you're venturing to a Wolves game and you're looking to make a night of it or a weekend. You're bringing friends in, coming from out of town, whatever it may be. Element Hotel, downtown Minneapolis. City views, perfect, bright, natural lighting, rooms, affordable parking, free breakfast that includes breakfast tacos, avocado toast, sweet potato hash. Incredible stuff. Element Hotel, just down the street from Target Center and Target Field. ScoreNorth.com/element. ScoreNorth.com/element to find out more details. Also, Padregs in Minneapolis is the official craft beer and brewery of the sports dad himself.
And that's because my friends at Padregs, do you know what they do? They make beer and only beer. That's right. They're not focused on a bunch of other projects. They are focused on beer, and they're a local craft brewery that recreates Irish and UK classics as well as some great craft beers. I've talked about the red. It's delicious. The lager, fantastic. It is a great beer to sip with a game on or just on a nice day. Whatever you want when it comes to beer, Padregs is going to fulfill your wants for a great beer. Absolutely fantastic. Available in more than 80 stores in the Metro. I am told that there might be more coming, but right now 80 liquor stores in the Metro carry Padregs delicious beer. And you can also stop by the brewery in the old Lando Nod factory at the corner of Broadway and Central Avenues Northeast. Padregs, check them out if you want classic beer.
Okay, I'm going to hit you guys with my hottest Wolves take, and then we can go around the room here. We do this every week. This is the second week we've done this, right?
We started last week. Yep.
We've done this on Purple Daily during the Viking season, and thought it'd be fun to bring this this segment to Flagrant Howls. So this hit me this morning. I was perusing through just for fun, because every 6 months or so, I try to update my top 100 Timberwolves of all time list, which has become a thing.
You are very
Kyle.
dedicated. You're very dedicated to that list.
Yeah, Andrew L., loyal listener, sent in like 2 years ago his top one. I think it turned into a top 200 Wolves of all time list.
Wow.
That list gets dark as you get.
How did he decide who was like 155 and who was like 198?
Call out a number and I'll give you the player.
Okay.
Between 100 and 200.
Yep. 137.
Kevin Ollie. Didn't he? And he went on to coach UConn, right? Yeah.
Played there too. Okay. 163.
Aaron Brooks.
Oh yeah.
Former Rockets guard.
Yeah.
But I mean, how does he, like, what's the separation? I'd love to know, like how do you do that?
Like, how did you choose Juancho Hernan Gomez 149 ahead of Robert Pack at 150?
Oh, Robert Pack. Yeah, I remember Robert Pack. God,
give me one more number.
Blast from the past. Declan, go ahead. Give him a number.
172.
Maurice Evans.
Wow.
Do not remember Maurice Evans.
I think that was a KG era.
I do not remember that name at all. I think Robert Pack was a former Houston Rocket.
Okay. Yeah, I'll trust you on that one.
I think he was. I can look that up.
Why don't you look that up?
Or perhaps
Let's pause the show while you.
No, we don't need to pause the show. I will look it up.
No, I'll beat you to it. Robert Pack.
What? This isn't a competition. I was just telling you. I think he's a former Rocket.
55 years old. He played for a lot of teams. Not the Rockets, though. He played for the Blazers, the Nuggets, the Bullets before they were the Wizards.
That was a great name. Never should have changed.
The Nets, the Mavericks, back to the Nuggets.
Okay, damn.
Timberwolves in 2001, 2002, when they're just trying to find anyone that can play next to KG.
Yep.
And then the Hornets and the Nets. But so the inspiration was reopening the top 100 Timberwolves list. Mm-hmm. And my hottest Wolves take is Julius Randle is already one of the 15 best Timberwolves of all time.
Wow.
And here's the list as it's currently constructed. And this is probably worthy of some tweaking here, because I feel like a couple of the guys that climbed really high after last year are off to bad starts this year, so maybe they go down.
You're bringing them down. Okay.
So KG number 1, Anthony Edwards number 2, Carl 3rd, Rudy, I had Rudy up to 4th because defensive player of the year, number 1 defense. Sam Cassell 5, Kevin Love 6, Jimmy Butler. Peak greatness outweighs longevity. So like Jimmy Butler was only here for a couple years, but he was awesome and helped the Wolves get back to the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Then he spectacularly flamed out. Terrell Brandon, Tom Gugliotta, Wally Zerbiak round out the top 10.
I love Googs.
Stephon Marbury, 11. Al Jefferson, 12. And then I had, up from last year, Mike Conley, 13. Jaden McDaniels, 14. And Naz Reid, 15. Ahead of Andrew Wiggins, Sam Mitchell, and Christian Laettner. And Julius Randle, to me, is already a better Timberwolf than Christian Laettner at 18. Sam Mitchell was like longevity and leadership and stuff.
At 2 cents, right?
But I'm ready to bump like Mike Conley down a notch for his slow start and Jaden McDaniels and find room in the top 15 all-time Timberwolves for Julius Randle.
All right, where does current day, and he's not off to a good start, Dante DiVincenzo rank here?
I was hoping it'd be I could do this take with Dante DiVincenzo, like top 15.
Yeah, no, you can't.
But the current version of him.
Where is he though? Where is he? Gun to the head. Where do you put him?
You stop me when I get to a player that's debatable. Like, okay, we can put this version of Dante DiVincenzo.
Okay.
So 18 later, 19 Pooh Richardson, 20 Tony Campbell, 21 Ricky Rubio, Peck, D'Angelo Russell, Latrell Sprewell, Kyle Anderson, Gorgie Jang, Joe Smith, Tyrone Corbin.
Okay, you can stop right around there, I think.
I mean, Corbin was like, he averaged like 20 points a game one year, didn't he?
Yeah.
Derrick Rose, Nikhil, Doug West, Chauncey Billups. Okay, now we're,
I feel like, wait. You know, I feel like we're there, but wait. If I just may here, if I may interject, is Doug West a little too low?
Yeah, you could. That was a fight. I
feel like
he was a good
West.
player.
I feel like D West is being a little disrespected there.
But what does it say? Dante DiVincenzo's off to kind of a slow start.
Right.
And despite that, we're willing to say he's kind of a fringe top 30 all-time Timberwolves player.
I love this list. Off the top of my head, I think Doug West is a little bit low. I also think, and I don't remember exactly where he was, but the group of names seem to be low, that Googs is a little low.
Well, Googs, you know what? Yeah.
I'm a huge Googs guy.
Well, I have him 9th.
Googly.
And a lot of people, like I think Kyle's version, or maybe it was Andrews, had Googs a little lower. Okay. But I stand for Tom Gugliotta. And here's a hot take within a hot take, since we're talking about this list. When the Wolves made the playoffs for the first time in like 96, 97, historically, all the credit goes to KG and Steph. Gugliotta might have been the best player on that first Timberwolves playoff team.
Incredible trio. Yes.
Yep. It was was legitimately like a three-headed monster.
Before Marbury demanded out, Googs had the falling out, got traded to Phoenix, as I recall, and I don't think was the same. But that was, if you want to go back, for all that we have, or for all that we subsequently clowned McHale for moves, the Danielle Marshall Gugliotta trade is one of the greatest trades in Wolves franchise history.
It is. It sparked the first Wolves playoff run.
Yep.
And then, the Googs falling out with Steph. But, yeah, he was the first Wolves All-Star in 96-97. Yep. 21 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, a block, 2 steals. And I'm pretty sure I saw him on FanDuel Sports North, or whatever we're calling it. I think he was at Target Center for a game, or he was at a Wolves game
back
this season. So,
but he is because that trade, Danielle Marshall, was he like the 3rd overall pick in his draft?
Yeah, top 5 pick. Yeah.
And McHale watched him for a very short period of time. It's like, this ain't gonna work out too well, and flipped him for Googs, and Googs came in and was if the franchise had a turning point at that point, Googs played a huge role in that. So, great trade.
So there it is. Julius Randle, hottest Wolves take for me is he is already a top 15 all-time Timberwolves.
Wow. Dex, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. All right. I don't mean to be too negative here, but I'm going to go down here. Mike Conley is washed. I'm ready to declare it. He's washed. 37 years old, off to a very slow start. Now, he has historically gotten off to slower starts in his career, but right now shooting 31% from the floor. I know he was still a positive player on the court in this last game against Phoenix, where he was a plus 14 and only scored 3 points. So, yes, there's some value to Mike Conley. I think he's washed, and the Wolves need to solve some type of problem with him or some type of solution, I should say, with him going forward. The Wolves are still really good. It's not like them losing Mike Conley prevents them from being a threat, but they need to supplement those minutes with more efficiency. And I think Mike Conley, who could still contribute here and there maybe, but at 37 years old, he's washed. And this is probably a bigger problem that we didn't address going forward into this season.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely. I will say that he sat the second game against Portland, and then they decided, let's ramp him up in minutes because he was playing maybe like 20 to 25 minutes, and they decided, you know what? How about 36 minutes? And he was effective against Sacramento, and he had like a handful of steals, and he was kind of vintage Conley against Sacramento. When I hear washed, I think no longer playable, and I don't think he's to the point where he's no longer playable, but he's definitely not. I don't think you can rely on the same productivity as last year. And that's where I would love to see Dillingham start to rise up a little bit. If you're looking for a ball handler who can distribute, get open looks for teammates, and maybe get his own offense at the rim and shoot threes. I mean, that's what Dillingham is supposed to be. But, yeah, man, through the first month of the season, he has he was like among the league leaders in 3-point percentage last year. He was shooting like 45% for a large chunk of the season.
I still think he's playing hurt.
Yeah, he might be. But if that's the case, okay, dude, like let's sit for a month.
I agree.
Just sit for a month. We'll figure it out.
I agree.
Get that thing healed up for January and February.
Yep, exactly. Because I think the shooting problems are born from the wrist problem, which, again, I'm sure has been a problem for a while, but I don't recall it drawing any attention until now.
Well, yeah, and, it's one, because like Dak said, he's shooting 31% overall from the field. But the biggest drop-off for him has been he's not getting to closer range like that. He can get to the rim for a layup, but also that little floater range.
Yeah.
He's pretty lethal last year from that little floater range.
Yeah.
And he's just like not getting to those spots on the floor like he did last year. And it's been harder for him to find consistent offense, I guess, from any level.
Yes.
All right, Joe, what's your hottest Wolves take?
It's part of off what Dex just said, but it goes to this. No Wolves player is being done as wrong as Dillingham is by Finch. They traded up to get him. Seemed like a heck of a trade. What, 8th? I believe the 8th pick in the draft. Yeah. This is not a late first round pick. This is a guy that you traded up for to play immediately. And he's not even getting, really, for the most part, experience. I think that there is a happy medium between, we have Mike Conley, I'm a veteran coach, and I know what I want, and I don't think that you can do that. But the other side is, we traded up for this kid. We expected him to play, and you are doing nothing to develop him. I've seen this before. It just bugs me, especially like early. Like if you're going to have some problems, which the Wolves have, get them all out of the way. So now are you going to start to incorporate and play him more in December when things have turned around, but now he's going to struggle more because he didn't play before? I just think that this is if there would ever be friction between Tim Conley and Chris Finch, this would be it, because I don't think that you made this trade to sit the kid completely. Again, if he was the 28th pick or something, I'd be like, okay, I sort of get that, right? Yeah. But you made an intentional trade, and then to what Declan's saying, it ain't like Conley's like, oh my God, we can't sit him. I think he's being done really wrong, and it always concerns me. I'm not all for throwing a guy into the fire and having him fail, but based on circumstances, I am big on development, and it feels like there's no real development being done here.
I'm curious. I'm looking at a historical potential comp. When Tim Conley was in Denver a few years ago and they took Bones Highland, Doogie used Bones Highland as a Dillingham comp around draft time, a guy who's like, he's point guard size, but pretty lean. Like Bones Highland is maybe $170, $175. I think Dillingham measured like 165 pounds, which is really, really small for an NBA player. So both kind of similarly, not quite NBA size, both first-round picks. Bones was the 26th pick by the Nuggets. But they're both first-round picks. So I'm just curious, when did he start playing minutes in 2021-22 for a Tim Connolly-led organization? And, yeah, he did. So he didn't play the first 2 games. Then he played 10 minutes in the 3rd game, did not play he was like a DNP coach's decision mostly until kind of the beginning of November. But by the time November rolled around, that Nuggets team was running a rookie Bones Highland out for 17 minutes, 15, 20, 15, 16, fair. 20, 20, 20. And there were some games where he was, okay, this is not a Bones Highland game, but like he was playing regularly 15 to 20 minutes a night as a rookie for a Tim Connolly-led Nuggets team.
That's development.
I don't know if this is a disagreement between them or if they all agree like, hey, let's slow cook him here for a few different reasons. But It's a smart organization. It's Tim Conley is smart, Chris Finch is smart, and a really good coach. And the Wolves are 8-6 and are doing well with their 8-man rotation. But yeah, like all of us want to see more Rob Dillingham.
Yeah, and nobody's saying play him for 30. Like 15. 15 is very, very fair. 15 is fine. I just don't think. I don't know what value he gets from solely practicing and then essentially watching.
Maybe I would say that this week is
top 10 pick.
They haven't had a ton of practice time with their schedule so far. And as they're trying to figure this out on the fly with Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, and I wonder if having a few days off, because Sunday was their last game, right? So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday here, all off, but
and then Toronto.
A couple practices, and then you get Toronto on Thursday night. I wonder if having a couple extra days of just practice and no games, does that make them more comfortable saying, okay, Dillingham, Josh Minott, let's officially get this thing to a 9, maybe 10-man rotation? Mm-hmm. Or does Finch just keep going full Tom Thibodeau and stick with 8 until someone gets hurt? Basically, we are not going to expand this rotation.
We're being Tibbsed here.
Switch. Ice. Ice.
Rob.
Carl.
He's calling Carl again. Carl's putting up some stats.
Dude, Carl has been.
The Knickerbockers.
He's shooting like 51% from 3. He's the leading scorer, I think, on that team, ahead of Jalen Brunson.
Good for him.
And they've won 3 games in a row now, so they're kind of getting it on track. But those are our hottest Timberwolves takes here on Flagrant Howls, your favorite Timberwolves lifestyle podcast. If you haven't already, click that like button, the subscribe button on the Score North YouTube channel. And if you could give us a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple Podcasts, you can help us grow this thing too. Kyle is back tomorrow, a random Wolf of the week, and then I think we're likely to do a Feedback Friday edition of Flagrant Howls 2 this week. So, this is your favorite Timberwolves lifestyle podcast, Flagrant Howls.